Hey guys, it's mcfixit here. We have this Creality CR-6 SE, and I got it for really cheap on Facebook Marketplace. The guy said that it was not working when you plug it in. It is not plugged in right now. So it was printing, it popped, and they didn't know if it was going to be the power supply, if it would be the switch on the side, or if it could even be the main board underneath. So we're going to just kind of dive in and kind of figure out what went wrong and what is kind of the process of figuring out how to get it back up and running. I bought this off of the guy for a really cheap price, so I hope I can get it without putting a lot more money into it, because then that means I got a really great deal. Here are the tools and the supplies that I used. You will need Allen wrenches. I prefer one that kind of all comes together in one, but inside your tray you should have Allen wrenches. You may need to use a pick to get some stuff out. Make sure you have a magnetic tray, a Phillips screwdriver. You'll probably want a voltmeter. And the part that I needed was a Meanwell LRS350-24. There'll be links in the description for all of these tools. So first things first, we're just going to go ahead and kind of take everything to where we have the ability to go ahead and get to the power side, and so we can kind of test it. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in, and we'll go ahead and kind of give our first test to it. So with flipping it on, there is nothing that happens. That is completely nothing. You don't hear anything, nothing at all is going on. So we're going to go ahead and turn that off. I'll go ahead and unplug it here, and we'll get this to the side so we can see what is going on. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and pull this. And I don't know what kind of work the person did to try to see if to fix any of this. And we have our first little fuse here. And we'll go ahead and get it to where we can test to see if it has continuity between it. It should beep. And it's beeping, so it's working. You can also pull these out. It's pretty easy. And look very closely at it. I mean, it's really hard to tell, but you can see that there's a metal line between, which means that's still good. Put that back in there. Put it the correct direction. So far, we know that that is good. Sometimes it only is the fuse, which would have been a really easy fix since I have a couple of those laying around my house. And since it's not that, kind of the next step is to go ahead and look at, to see actually behind here, what the wiring looks like. So we're going to go ahead and take and look behind here. I do know that the wires are pretty tight, so we are going to have to put this on its side. And so we're going to take off these 6 screws, and I believe they are an Allen wrench. Let's see if I can get the, oh man, I never do that first time. So you just continue to just spin these off, hold them at the end, put them in a metal tray. Do that for all 6. So this whole tray piece comes off after you got the 6th one off. And what we were going to have to do is you got to go ahead and remove, I think it's this one, yes. Then we'll also just go ahead and take these off just to give us a little bit of extra room. And then you got to figure out, that's a bigger size, so you just kind of got to figure out which one it is. Too big. And so this is your ground screw right here. Again, put it in the metal tray. And I do like to kind of separate them out so I kind of know where each one of them are. And now that that is off, remembering both of those have to go back on, we'll come back over here. And so let's go ahead and go in here. And that's the smaller one. So far it's just those two and they're right next to each other, which is really helpful. Again, I don't know what kind of work this guy did on the inside of this, so it may look a little different than yours, and I apologize for that. The person I bought it off of, don't know what they tried to do to fix this, so hopefully they didn't ruin it more than they should have, but we will find out hopefully momentarily or in the next few minutes. So we'll go ahead and pull this out. Hopefully we have enough to get it started. Well, that was not plugged in all the way, so that could have been our problem. So very, very carefully, without touching anything on this side, we're gonna see if we can plug it in and see if anything happens. You're just gonna have to trust me, nothing happened on the front side, nothing at all, because I'm not gonna flip this over. I guess it helps if you turn it on, Mark. Nothing happened. So I was hoping it did. Nothing happened, even though that wire was kind of loose. It could have been when I was taking stuff off and pulling it out. Another thing you can do is this has a jumper here. This will make it to where that switch is pretty much inexistent. And we'll test it again. Man, I was hoping it was one of those two things. That's just showing your switch still works, which is a good thing that your switch works. I have heard that there are lots of these switches that get busted over time. So that could be it, is just this switch, and you could do the jumper test to see if it would work, because then this jumps the wire over here and allows it to power only when it is on. So we know it's not that. So the next guess is to come over here. And so the next guess is maybe it is the power supply. There's lots of screws on it. These are the fan screws. And I know it has, I think, 4 screws on the inside, which you can't get. So we actually have to take the whole thing off. And so there are 4 screws on the other side holding this on. So we will go ahead and flip this back very carefully. And so 1, 2, 3, and 4. So far, that's the bigger of these two sizes. I don't think there's any markings on this, which I wish there was, so I could tell you what sizes those are. I'm sorry. You're just going to have to kind of figure that out as you go, which is kind of a pain in the butt. Again, use that metal tray. It will save you lots of heartache looking for screws later. I feel like I'm working on an IKEA thing with all of these Allen wrenches. Everything's an Allen screw, which is actually not half bad. I do think the next one uses regular Phillips screws though. So be careful when you lift this. We're going to go ahead and rotate it back. So now this has become loose. So we can kind of get a look at it. Also, make sure this is on whatever voltage you need it. It's 115 for me. We're going to go ahead and take off the plate here. So there are 4 Phillips screws. I just want to see if there's anything busted on this. This is a magnetic tip on this as well. So here's the next screw. And these ones are tiny and my garage is very cold. Oh, this one's missing one. Look at that. So maybe the dude was in here, I don't know. Or maybe it just didn't come one in the factory, which is possible. So remember, there's no power, there's nothing connected, no power. I'm gonna kind of set this back up in here. And then we should be able to kind of pull this off and set this off to the side. Now the next thing I'm looking for, because it popped, is a burn mark. And I don't know if you can see it, but I've already found a big burn mark. So if you look, this right here, oh, the whole thing's completely off. I'm guessing that's probably some kind of a resistor. If you know what it's called, go ahead and put that in the comment section below, but you can see it's burnt, the entire thing. I do know some people who can take these off pretty easily and put new ones on, but I think I'm just going to end up buying a new one of these. I believe I saw they were around $30 or $40 on Amazon. I'll have a link down in the description. I was hoping it wasn't an expensive fix, but 30, 40 bucks is not bad. So it'll probably take me a couple of days, but it'll be just a few seconds from now and I'll have a new one. The power of having really fast service 2 days later. So this is the same brand. So it is the Wellmean LRS 350-24. And so I'm going to just replace the whole thing. And I'm hoping this is what fixes it. If not, it's a motherboard, but you know what? I got a new power supply too. And hopefully that means it just lasts a lot longer. But my hope, man, they put a lot of boxes. So there's a box and here's a box, which probably isn't too bad because it was just in a little envelope with Amazon. So here are some brackets and screws. First thing I always like to do is make sure it looks identical. And it has the same numbers, so double check that. Yes. And this one has a nice little plastic cover on here. It's a little different than that. Maybe that one originally had one because I do see the little inputs for that. So the next thing we're going to have to do is take off these wires. You may want to take a picture with your phone. I actually encourage you to do that to make sure you're putting everything back in the same location. So in fact, I'm going to do that because I don't know this machine that well. So go ahead and take a picture. One thing you'll want to note is this is the black wire and that is the red one. Then positive, red, black, then your ground. So these are just a Phillips screw and you normally don't have to do too much unless the connector is different. Nope, it's exactly what I thought it was. Sometimes the connectors are round instead of like these little teeth. Then they're a pain in the butt. Again, there is no power on. Make sure you are safe with this. Don't be a not smart person. So this is one thing you are going to want to make sure you pay attention to. The red one is on the V positive and the black one is on the V negative. So we're just going to set that off to the side. Go ahead and pop that off. I am probably going to put that back on. That's not a bad safety feature. So I'm going to go with these ones first. The red one was the positive. And you are going to want to make sure, it's going to be hard to see, that you put it underneath here and in there. And so it goes underneath the one little part of the plate. Need to spin them a little more. I'm going to kind of get at least both of them kind of started and then tighten down one. Just like so. And this one's not liking me too much, so I am going to kind of put it into its slot. Sometimes when there's two of them together, it does make it a bit more difficult. This is the time you go ahead and have your camera or your photos open so you don't screw it up. It's very easy to mess this up, but then you've just ruined what you just spent your hard-earned money on. So there's 3 more wires that have to go on. I'm just going to go ahead and loosen all 3 of these really quickly. So there's the next one. Then you have the black one. that is my voltage meter. It's probably just turning off because I've let it sit for quite a while. It's one of the nice features of that one. So then your 9-volt battery isn't dead the next time you need to use it. Then I'm going to come back and just hand tighten, don't kill it. You're going to be sad if you strip it, which is possible. And I like this little cover piece, so I'm going to reinstall that. Then I'm going to put this in here, and we're going to need to put this back in on the side. Yes, I know, you're completely off now. Thank you, voltage meter. You know what? I wonder if I accidentally flipped that when I was playing in there. Okay. I'm going to try it like that. We do need to connect these ground screws to that right down there. But you know what? I need to put this on. I changed my mind. I want that secure. I don't want that flying all over the place. So this is gonna be hard to show you, but I think I can do it. I'm gonna have to turn this all the way around. So you're gonna have to line up your screws pretty much like perfectly. And I'm just gonna start it by hand on at least 2 of these. And you can kind of see, I'm trying not to strip this at all, because stripping this would be bad. But it's also very easy to do. Okay, I just put those in hand tight. I need to come back and do the other 2 later. I'm just wanting this to stay secure. So the next thing is to get these in there. So we need to put both of these together and also get the screw on there. So I went ahead and put it on the Allen. And this is always probably the hardest part of the whole thing. And the camera's really in my way for this one, but we're gonna try to just get it the first time. Wow, that doesn't always happen. Go ahead and tighten that down. Gonna grab the piece of tape that was on here, if I can try to. Again, it's really, really cold in my garage, so this tape is not gonna want to come off very easily, no. But we're just gonna put what I got off on there. And remember, that held up the cables right here, just like that. And then I am gonna put these 2 screws on just to secure this in. I feel like I flipped this the other way, and I feel like this is actually the direction this one's supposed to go. Just how the wires are, it just feels better this way. So if I did that backwards, you're gonna have to just forgive me. So the wires don't feel as pinched. I think the guy probably pulled this trying to fix it. Now I'm gonna leave that back cover off for the next few moments. We are gonna need to put that back on before we would ever print anything. But we're just gonna go ahead and do a test. So cord is plugged into the wall. This is plugged in. I'm gonna go ahead and flip it and hope and pray, and it is working. Look, that's all it took. 35 bucks, and I just saved myself a few hundred. Don't tell the guy, he might be really mad. But I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off because we're gonna be finishing up back here. That just made my day. So we have 6 screws. Want to just make sure everything is kind of tucked pretty well in here so we don't have any split wires. I do need to tighten that down a touch more, and that's the bigger one. That's see, it's just a little loose in there. I'm gonna continue to tighten that down. I want to make sure my ground is adequate. There it goes. And then that these wires aren't going to get ruined. That is so awesome. It's one of the things I love about being able to fix things is sometimes you save yourself a crap ton of money. Now there is a little slot on both of these, so make sure you put it the right way and make sure you have room for your fan. If your fan vent looks really dirty, this has a little bit, but not really bad at all. Blow that out with some compressed air. Little maintenance tip for you as you're doing this. These are those little screws that are really easy to mess up and lose, so take your time, go slow. Sometimes I can start things like this by hand. Sometimes it's just easier in the tool. So I will have, there's supposed to be 4. I will have 3 screws left over because I took apart the power supply. Don't feel like you just lost a bunch of screws and you don't know where they go. We took that off, if you're following exactly what I'm doing. And so we will put those back on. I probably won't show a video of it because I like to save parts like that, because sometimes you need a fan or you need something else in there. And so again, we probably could have taken the backside off and welded on a new part there, soldered on a new part. I'm not really comfortable doing that, and typically when I've done stuff like that in the past, I've just made things worse because I fixed that part, but there was something either probably before it that was actually the problem. So 35 bucks is not too bad to have a printer back up and running. Okay, now we still have 2 screws left and to tighten down the back side, and then I will show you again. And I throw stuff all the time. So these are those 2 bigger screws that hold in the top of the power supply. And I don't know if I've mentioned this, don't kill this. Go slow. You don't have to put a ton of power behind these. These are just holding it in place. So when you're tight, just be done. Remember, I just put these in by hand, so we will want to tighten those down. And then we'll go ahead and flip it around and show you that everything works how it's supposed to. Plugged in. Then hit that power button, give it a second or two, and it's working again. I hope this is helpful and you get something out of it. If you have any value added to your life because of this, I encourage you to subscribe, comment if you do have any questions. Again, I'm kind of new to this, so I would not consider myself an expert, but I want to help people however I can. And so you may have had a way of doing it a little bit better or different. Go ahead and put that in the comments. I would appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great day.